Hello, welcome back to the channel. This week I'm going to be doing a bunch of different things on two different trucks. I'm going to be pulling the springs out and putting the springs back in the Travelall. The springs, as I got the truck, were completely flat, just in terrible shape. So I sent them out, had them rebuilt, and I'm going to be putting those back in. And I'm going to be doing some more work on the Scout 800 to try to get that thing unstuck. So let's get into it. We are bringing out the big guns. This is 50/50 acetone and ATF. I'm going to put this down the cylinders and we're going to start soaking it with this to really try to knock this thing loose. I spent the morning cleaning up my garage because the garage is just a complete disaster, and I knew that I had spark plugs somewhere and I couldn't find them anywhere. I finally dug them up. This is an old set of Autolite 85s that I believe I pulled out of the Scout. Yeah, pulled these out of the Scout. They should be just fine to run in this thing. I was having a problem with pretty much all of these plugs. Did not want to thread. One of these, I believe it's this one, it's the number 3 plug, is like cross-threaded, and I spent a bunch of time filing it down, and I couldn't get it to go in properly. So I'll try putting this in and see if this goes in any easier. I have no idea how old the original plugs are in this thing. Yeah, I'm just going to yank all of these. So I know if I've got these used plugs, I at least know that they were running and worked fine, and they're gapped properly. There it goes. Yep. Yeah, these all go in like super easy. I don't know what the deal was with the old ones. I spent a bunch of money. I've actually had these in my Amazon cart. Don't have to buy them now. That's the way it should feel. All the other ones, the original ones, just did not want to feed in there at all. These are just, I can hand tighten these. We do a little battery testing here to see if I can tell where we might have a connection and where it might be dying. Alright, 13 volts because it's been on the charger, so that's a good sign. Alright, so it's grounding to the engine block, so that means the ground is good. I don't know where to look for the fuse box in this thing. I don't have the slightest idea where it is. It's the flasher relay. Ooh, that's the wires there. Alright, so there's no fuse panel behind this. Let's get some WD-40 up here and a flashlight. We'll see what we can see. Okay. So that inside, that stuff inside. Bunch of spare bolts in the ashtray, but I still don't see a fuse panel. Alright, so there's no fuse panel on this side that I can see. Hoses are garbage, as I would have expected. There's the main blue power line that goes, is the one, it's coming out of here, and I'll bet it goes down to, well, I thought it would have jumped off to the starter. Starter's right there, because the power comes in from the battery, goes up to the gauge, to the ammeter, goes through the ammeter, and then back out to the starter, if I remember this correctly. If I remember how the Scout 2 goes. I would bet it's not that much different for this truck here. Let me put some wires on these and we'll just see if we've got any power here. So I was able to ground off the engine. 12 volts right there. It's kind of all over the place. Comes up and it goes down. I think that's because it's pretty well corroded. Yeah, there's almost 12 volts right there. Let me run down to the basement and get the electrical cleaner. Maybe if we get a couple of good leads back on this thing, we'll be in better shape. Oh, it's nice to have a little sunlight come out, that's for sure. This is the other big power lead here. Let's get this one cleaned out. I can't get the screwdriver in there though. All right, constant 12. Constant 12. So we're getting power inside. Let's go follow that and figure out where it goes. Wires come in there. They go down to this loom. And they follow that loom down that way. You go behind the ashtray. Yep, okay. And then they go down that way. So they're going to be behind that panel. So next up we got to pull that panel and figure out what is getting power and what is not. The battery's hooked up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to test out the ammeter, which is this gauge right here, and see if we've got power coming to the ammeter. So let's turn this on. We haven't burned the truck down yet, which is a good sign. All right, there's our positive. Let's just ground out anywhere here on the chassis. Somewhere. All right, nothing from that wire. Nothing from that wire. And I'm trying to get any kind of ground that I can. Either one of these should be hot. They're hot going in. Nothing. And I'm going to hose down these connections and we're going to see if we can figure out what's going on back here. All right, this is interesting. I just spent way too much time putting, I cleaned out all the connections and put the amp meter in there, and I was just farting around with this, and I'm now seeing the amp meter change, and that's the starter. You hear that? That's the starter. So there is power coming to this thing. The engine is still locked up, but that is a good sign. Turn signals don't work. Horn doesn't work, but that's really interesting. Okay. Interestingly, after a little bit of ATF, this is actually moving just a hair. Or this is what it felt like when I was in the field with the truck earlier. I was wondering if I can get it to move at all. What I might do is crawl under and pull the transmission cover off, and I might have to buy one of those transmission tools that you use to move it. I've got the flywheel cover off of the engine, and it looks okay. Not moving. I'm gonna have to find or buy the tool to basically move this thing, so I'll look at that when I go back inside, but it was very easy to get off. This thing has a couple of skid plates on it, which is kind of interesting. The starter is probably going to need to be replaced, but I know that it does work. It's actually functioning somehow. So we're going to do a detour to the Travelall. While the truck is off the road during salt season, I figured I would take care of the springs. All 4 of the springs on this truck are completely flat as a board. There is basically no suspension in this thing other than the new shocks I put in 2 years ago. So I figured this is the better time to do it, and I started on the driver's side. I was actually really surprised at how easy they came out. I figured this thing would have been completely eaten away with rust, but there's very minimal rust on the underside of this, and all things being equal, the bolts came out. I had to do, juice and heat to get them to start, but once they started, everything came right out, and they were all, the bolts and the hardware were all in really good shape. The springs themselves, we'll look at them in a minute. I'll show you what I'm talking about, but you can see just looking at the truck right there, I mean, there's nothing on that, and the spring is completely flat. All right, there's the driver's side rear spring off. You can see it has some arch to it, but it's pretty flat. The other one over there is very flat, so I'm really hoping I can get more of an arch on this one. It was a little bit of work getting it out. This shackle arrangement here is a bit weird. I'm going to leave this on for the spring guys, and they can figure out what to do, but I'm gonna make sure that they keep this. Now I've got to figure out how to set this thing back down and get to the passenger side next. They both look about the same in terms of how flat they are, so I'll be really looking forward to getting them sprung a little bit better. This whole thing is ready to go, so that's step 1 done. And it only took me about 4 hours to get these out, which is actually a lot faster than I was thinking it would. So I'm pretty happy about that too. A local spring shop had these back to me within a day, so I was able to get them back, wire wheeled everything, get all the rust off of them, hit them with some rust stop, and basically start installing them as soon as I had some spare time, which was really cool. Go in here and under this. To about there, and we get this here. get this. Let's see. Let's lift that up. Yeah, I think they would just spin that up right. Okay. So this has got to go up in this little receiver here. Lift that up for me. It's like bent down a little bit.
So this is twisted. Like that shackle is twisted, that's preventing that bolt from going in?
Maybe. Yeah.
So you got brand new fresh U-bolts?
Yeah, brand new U-bolts, all brand new bushings.
Have you done the brakes?
Yeah.
What a learning experience that was.
Oh boy. And I think I still have to do, I have to do the long line from there down to the front.
Oh God. Actually, you're going right in.
Yeah, but it's still not.
It's not
still
lined
in
up.
Front, right? And it's going to start compressing the springs now. And that's it.
With the right leverage.
All right. Forecast for today was sun. Back on her pause, and I would say this is a huge difference. I don't know offhand what sort of height I got out of this thing, but just being in the back on the bumper, this bumper used to be, you know, a good 2 to 3 inches lower. This is a big difference. I'm really happy with the way that sits. You can sort of see, if I get back here and I do sort of a wide angle shot, you can sort of see how high the rear is riding and how low the front is now. You can also see when I get under here and I look at the bend of the springs, I can actually see the bend of the springs now, which I couldn't see before. They were completely flat. That might be, you know, 2 inches of lift there. When I get it to the front springs, they are completely flat. I'll show you. So you can see here are the front springs. They're completely flat. I definitely want some arch on these. So I just hit all the bolts with PB. What time is it now? It's about 3 o'clock. I'm gonna see if I can get one of these off just for giggles today, now that I know how to do this job. So I'm gonna chock the rear wheels and I'll see if I can get these fronts off now. So here's the driver's side spring pack. Interestingly, the front shackle actually came out as a sort of an attached unit. I had to unbolt that from part of the frame to get it off, and it stayed with the actual spring pack. Here's what the front looks like right now. I got to rebuild all of these different suspension points and everything, but once I figured out what I was doing, it actually wasn't that hard to get out. So I know what I'll be doing to put this back in. So I'm gonna clean this stuff up. I've got that basically supported. I'll lower the jack and put the tire back on this thing and call it a night. Pretty good day's worth of work here. So that's going to do it for this week. Thank you again so much for watching. As always, I've got some merch available if you are interested in buying it. It's all international based, trucks and scouts and other stuff. Anything you buy there generates money that goes right back into these trucks, so I do appreciate it. Had some really great sales right around Christmas time, which was a really nice holiday surprise, so I do thank you guys for that. If you like what you see here, hit like and subscribe. I don't have a ton of subscribers. This is not my primary means of income, but I guess it helps. And I will see you in a week or two. Thanks.